Hey everybody, Steve here, and today we're taking a look at APBA Baseball. This game was originally released all the way back in 1951 and continues strong today. It's for 1 or 2 players, and a game is going to take you 30 minutes or less to play out. Now, today we're taking a look at the basic version of the game, but there is a Master Edition available as well that adds some extra complexity and rules to the game if you're looking for that. Now, many consider APBA to be the grandfather of all sports simulations, and APBA Baseball to this day continues to have a large legion of fans who still swear by it as the best tabletop simulation available. And even if you've never heard of sports board games before, chances are that you have heard of the name APBA. So, what is the game actually like? Well, let's take a look inside the box. I'll go through a sample of play, and then I'll tell you what I think after further review. So first off, you'll see that you get a very large box with the game, and this is going to enable you to handle everything easily that comes within the game, and then also to add additional seasons that you may purchase later on. It comes with a game board that actually has all of the basic directions for how to play the game listed right here. So literally just in a couple of minutes, you can have your game up and running. And it also has 4 tokens. So if you want to use this, you can keep track of the outs and then where runners are on the field. It comes with 2 dice, 1 large red D6, and then 1 smaller white D6, and then a die shaker. It comes with 1 blank score sheet. You see I'm actually right at the end of a game. We'll finish that up here towards the end of this video. And you can download more of these off the APBA website. It comes with 4 sample teams. So you'll get Kansas City and Baltimore from the American League, and then St. Louis and San Francisco from the National League. And we'll take a closer look at the ball player cards here in just a sec. You get a sheet that details everything that comes in the game, and then with some additional information about APBA. You get a 2014 lineup sheet, and this gives you a sample lineup for each of the 4 teams included with the game. You also get a disc that allows you to download the ball stat program, and this is for Windows. And then finally you have the game booklet. And as you can see, this is a very large book, and it's a really nice cardboard stock. And just the first couple pages are rules, and then the rest of the booklet is the actual game results. And it's set up really nicely. It starts with the bases empty, and then each page has a different result. So then it's runner on first, runner on second, all the way up to the bases loaded. And then the last 2 pages are for the sacrifice bunt and hit and run plays. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the player cards themselves. First off, you'll see they're a thin card stock with rounded corners, so they're very easy to pick up and handle. And you'll see that a pitcher card and a batter card, they look very similar. Well, let's take a look at Madison Bumgardner. So it'll have his name and then the position that he plays, and for pitchers it'll have a letter grade, and it's going to be an A, B, C, or D, although some pitchers will have 2 grades. And then it'll have in parentheses their defensive rating, and then sometimes they'll have an additional letter or 2 after there. And what's going to happen is sometimes that will actually change the results of a play. So for instance, Bumgardner has a Z after his. So we'll look at a result here. So here we see it would be a base on balls or a walk. However, because he is a Z pitcher, it would instead just be 2 balls, and then you would roll the at-bat again. And then in the middle of the card it has his biographical information, and then it has his results for if he ever has to come to at bat. And now let's take a look at a fielder's card. This is Salvador Perez, the catcher for Kansas City. And so we see he has an S in parentheses in front of his position, and that means that he is a slow runner. At some point during a game, sometimes if a slow runner is on base, instead of advancing and scoring, he'll be held up. And then there are also runners that are fast. So we see that Escobar, the shortstop for Kansas City, he has an F in front of his name. That means that he's a fast runner. And then his defensive rating here in parentheses, and then his stats, biographical information, and then finally his batting results. And then what do I mean by the batting results? Well, each at bat you're just going to roll the 2 dice, and you're going to read first the red one and then the white one. So in this case it would be a 64, and then you go down. 64 gives you a result of 13. So you'd go to the game booklet, and in this case we'll say that the bases are empty, and a result of 13 tells us that it's a strikeout for Bumgardner. Now you'll see that there's 3 different fielding columns, fielding 1, 2, and 3, and how you find out which column you're using, you're going to go through your lineup and you're going to total up the number of everyone's defensive ratings. And the higher the better. So you'll see here on each page it shows you exactly what the totals mean. So if the total fielding is 41 or more, then you're going to use fielding 1. If it's 36 to 40, fielding 2. And if it's 35 or fewer, then you'll use the fielding 3 column. And what's going to happen, the lower number you are, the worse results can sometimes happen. So you'll see here with a runner on first, if you get a 18 result, with a fielding 1, it would be out at first and the runner moves to second. It would be the shortstop throwing to the first baseman. However, if you had a fielding 2 team, the batter would be safe at first on an error by the shortstop. In a fielding 3 team, the batter would make it to first and it would be again an error on the shortstop, but the runner would move to third on the play. And so that's how most at-bats are going to be resolved. The way the pitcher grade gets involved is if you get a result that is a 1 through 11. So let's say you rolled the dice and you got a 22. So you see on Prez's chart, that gives us a result of 7. And so you would check the pitcher's grade. So Bumgardner has a B, and then you'd go to the grade B pitcher column, look at the result 7, and that tells you it's a single to right, and this is with a runner on first base, and the runner would move to third. If Bumgardner had been an A pitcher, the batter would be out at first. As you can see, really simple to get the results. The last thing I'll note, you'll see some players, like Perez here, have 2 listings, have 2 column results. And how that's going to work, if he rolls anywhere that gets a 0 in the first column, so if he rolls an 11 or a 66, and then you get a 0, that means you're going to roll again, and then you're going to get the result from the second column. So let's say he rolls an 11, he gets a 0, so then you roll the dice again, and we get a 51, so we're going to go to 51, and this time we're going to read from the second column, which gives us a 1, which all the APBA veterans will know is a home run. So there is just a quick overview of the game. Let's show you how an inning plays out. As you can see here, I'm playing out Game 7 of last year's World Series. And in this case, Kansas City is out in front 4-2 here in the top of the 9th. So they brought on their closer, Holland, and he is going to face the 3, 4, and 5 batters for San Francisco to see if they can tie the score up or maybe take the lead. So here we go, Holland pitching to Posey with nobody on. We got a 44, and that's a result of 7. And you'll see that Holland has a grade A and C. And so how that works, first you're going to look at the higher column, so in this case an A, and it tells us that it's a single to right on the 7. But when a pitcher has the double grades, if they get a hit result from their higher one, then you'll go to the C column. So in this case, it's still a single to right. So Posey gets a leadoff hit, and Sandoval is going to step up, representing the tying run. We'll roll, and we get a 56. That is a 34, so we'll go to the runner on first, and Kansas City is a fielding 1 team. So a 34 is a high fly out to pop out to the shortstop. However, you'll see here it says if it's a Y pitcher, then it's a strikeout. And Holland indeed does have the Y. So he'll strike out the Panda. So we'll have 1 down and a runner still on first base. Kansas City just 2 outs away from the win now. We get a 21. That is a result of 32. So again, we'll go to the runner on first base chart, the fielding 1 column. And a 32 is a fly out. The runners hold. So it'll be at F9. And 2 down now. So Brandon Belt, the first baseman from San Francisco, representing their last chance maybe. We get a 15, and that is a 10. So we'll go up here to the A column with the runner on first, and it's a single to right center. The runner goes to third, and then the batter steals second. Because that resulted in a hit, we're actually going to get the result from the C column, and it's actually the same result. So we're going to have a runner on second and third, and Michael Morse, the DH, comes to bat, and he's going to start with 2 strikes against him because of that last result. All right, so let's see what happens. We get a 31, and that is a 9. So we're going to go to the runners on second and third. He's a grade A. So here we see it's a fly out to center field. However, there's a result with an asterisk. If there's 2 outs, you read that instead of the original result. So what that means is that Morris has struck out. Holland holds on for the win. And Kansas City is the 2014 World Series champions. Okay, so there's a look at APBA Baseball. As you can see, a very easy game to set up and play. And once you just know a couple of basic rules, you'll have your games flying in no time. And really, I found that 30 minutes per game, that's definitely going to be the high end of how long it takes you to play out a game, especially once you have the rules down, and especially if you have a couple of good pitchers on the mound and you're just looking at the bases empty page a lot. Those innings can really just fly by. And while I have to say that initially I was almost a little taken back by how simple the game appeared, it actually works really well. I had some surprising results. There was actually a triple play that I've seen. There was a runner on second and third with nobody out. The left fielder made a shoestring catch, threw it into the infield, got the runner at third, got the runner at second for a triple play. And so it was neat seeing the game booklet sort of guide you through results like that. And yet didn't add any additional rolls. There was I wasn't flipping to another chart to see what happened. And it all flowed just from that initial one die roll. So the biggest praise that I could give to APBA Baseball is saying that this would be the game that I would suggest people that have absolutely no experience with sports simulations and they want to check it out. Pick up the basic version of this game. You'll be up and running in just a few minutes, and you can see what the whole sports simulation craze is about, of rolling dice, checking the result on the card, and then getting a outcome from a game booklet. And then once you've gotten comfortable with the basic game, then you can go from there, whether you decide to upgrade to the Master Edition of APBA or expand into all of the other different games that are available in the sports board game market. But really, there's a reason why this game has been around for so long and why it continues to have the success that it has to this day. There are cards available for every Major League season from 1901 all the way up to the 2014 season. So whatever era you're interested in, APBA Baseball is going to have you covered. And I think you're going to find that it's a very satisfying and enjoyable game to get it on your table. Alright guys, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. My name's Steve, and I'll see you next time after further review.